Strategy itself is just a tool for understanding the very roots of conflict and resolution. That tool doesn't understand vice or virtue. Nevertheless, the art of war uses strategy to be good. And Sun Tzu writes all throughout the book how important it is to be good when using strategy. Even though strategy itself is just a tool, which can be used in either way. But it only makes sense that he emphasized being good, not just from the influences of Taoism and the ancient Taoist masters, the way and the path, but because being evil is self-destructive, if not in the short term, then in the long term, almost always. So in this process, he's giving the reader an enhanced feeling for the significance of individual and social virtues espoused by the humanitarian pacifists. How many times have we seen someone achieve an end, and yet we don't agree with the means to that end, and we say, well, it was unethical. And so the shareholders of an oil company might say, well, this is great, you made us a lot of money. Rarely do they complain that the oil company maybe dumped a bunch of oil into a lake that can no longer be used for drinking water. The environmentalists, however, will say, well, that was a bad strategy. But by saying nothing, the shareholders are saying, well, that was a good strategy, because my dividends, my payout was great. So whether or not a strategy is good or bad is subject to interpretation. Just like the art of war itself, the Bible, and many other readings. Nostradamus is subject to interpretation. The Quran is subject to interpretation. Math and science aren't subject to interpretation. And these are the type of things that need to be used with something that's subject to interpretation. If you use the art of war in the Bible, you might really be in trouble. Or if you use it with the Quran, because you're using something that's subject to interpretation with something that's subject to interpretation. Okay, but the art of war says in the beginning, in chapter 1, strategy is to be a supplement to extraordinary tactics. It says it sets the advantages in using the advice and structure your forces accordingly. Forces are to be structured strategically based on what is advantageous in order to supplement extraordinary tactics. Tactics is a science. The way you bake a cake is a science. The way you make a car is a science. The way you put someone on the moon is math and science. Cake is math. Car is math. Everything that's a tactic is math and science. English is subject to interpretation. Every language in the world is subject to interpretation. Many wars have been started only to end up realizing we wanted the same thing. There was just bad communication. So what we have is math and science. We have tactics, the knowledge of your tactic, and then your strategy is how you use that in a masterful way. In an artful way is your strategy, which is subject to interpretation.